We've already spent some time looking at some of the common prefixes that we may encounter in words. Now let's take a moment to review some of the most common suffixes. As you recall in our first lesson, a suffix is added to the end of a word. So it's added after the root word. And like a prefix, a suffix can change the meaning of a word, but not necessarily in a major way. We talked about how suffixes will add specification or even plurality to a word. Nevertheless, it is important to be able to identify some of the most common suffixes that you will encounter in order to help you better comprehend new words. The first suffix that we are going to examine is full, which means full of or characterized by. Let's consider some words that we already know that use the suffix full. First would be cheerful, which means that we're full of good spirits. Another, forgetful. Forgetful means that we're full of neglect, that we're characterized by being unable to remember things. And finally, successful. And successful is characterized by a favorable outcome. We all want to be successful in everything that we do. That means that we always want a good outcome whenever we seek out to do something. So when do you have to be more watchful? When you are crossing the street or when you are strolling through a garden? So whenever we hear watchful, that means that we are being completely on watch. We're being cautious. We're paying attention to what's going on around us. Now, while we may be more observant in a garden and take in the beauty, watchful tends to have a sense of possible danger. Therefore, when we're crossing the street, it will be a good idea to be more watchful and remain aware of your surroundings. Which is more plentiful on earth, gold or water? When we hear plentiful, we think of plenty. That means that there is just a lot of it. Plentiful takes it even further. So is there more gold or more water on earth? Well, obviously, there is a lot more water than there is gold. The next suffix that we are going to examine is less. Again, this is one we should already be familiar with. Less means without, lacking, or unable to act. Some common words that we already know that use less, for example, would be speechless. Now, we're speechless when we're unable to speak, or we just don't have anything to say. Jobless would mean that we're unemployed, that we don't have a job, we're without a job. And finally, powerless. Powerless could mean without power, or that we are unable or lack the ability to do something. Let's consider this example and see if we can determine which of our two options is meaningless. Is it a random string of words or a sentence? Well, when we consider what meaningless means, at its very definition, it means without meaning. In other words, if there's no meaning, we can't understand it. Can we understand a sentence? Or can we understand just a random string of words? Well, the random string of words would be meaningless. Which would be worthless in a store? Actual money or play money? Well, if something is worthless, that means it is without value, without worth. What will be more valuable in a store? Actual money or play money? Well, after being in retail management, I can tell you that we want actual money when somebody is paying for the products and services that we offer. Play money is not going to have any worth if we want to buy something. Able and able are two suffixes that are related in meaning. Anytime they are used, we are saying that something is capable of, worthy of, or tending to. Some common words that use able and able are agreeable, and that simply means that we're ready and able to agree. Reliable means that we're capable of trust or that we're trustworthy. Possible means that there's potential, that it's capable of happening. And then finally, responsible. If somebody is responsible, then we know that they are capable of handling it on their own. They have the accountability to do something without us being there to make sure that it gets done. Which one of these actions is avoidable? So when we consider what avoidable means, it means that it's something that we can avoid doing by taking certain actions. So we're capable of avoiding being in this situation. First is paying the taxes you owe, and second is being fined for a late library book. Which one of these would you consider to be avoidable? Well, if you've been in the workforce for any length of time, you have to pay taxes. Any income that you earn, any money that you make, you have to pay part to the government, which is what they call a tax. However, being fined for a late library book, what can you do to avoid that fine? Turn it in on time. Therefore, being fined is avoidable. Which of these would you consider to be more visible? Artwork hung over your mantel or artwork stored in your closet? Okay, if we think about what visible means, then we would say that if something is visible, it can be easily seen. Well, is artwork more easily seen over your mantel above the fireplace or stored away in a closet? Well, obviously, if it's able to be seen, it needs to be out in the open. So, if it's hung over the mantel, it is more visible. The suffix ment is also one with which we should already be quite familiar. Words that end in ment means state or act of the particular root word. Some common words that we already know that end in ment are enjoyment, which means the act of taking pleasure in something or the state of enjoying. Employment, which is the state of having a job, that we are employed. And then finally, achievement. which means the act of achieving or that something has been done successfully. Shipment is a word that we already know, but let's consider what it means. Does it mean able to be shipped, or is it the result of shipping? Well, if something has been sent out on a shipment, then yes, it was able to be shipped. But the word shipment actually refers to the state. So, shipment is the result of shipping. Again, we have another term we already know, agreement. What does agreement mean? Is it the result of agreeing, or is it able to be agreed? Well, when we come to an agreement, that means we've already agreed. Therefore, it's the result of agreeing. The final two suffixes that we are going to examine are words that end in ly and words that end in ness or ness. When we have a word that ends in ly, it means the manner of something. And if a word ends in ness, it means the state of something. Some common words that we already know: carefully, which means that we're doing it in a way that shows care. So it's a manner of showing care. Illness. We know that ill means being sick. So if we have an illness, that means we are in a state of sickness or not being well. Let's consider the word neatness. What does neatness mean? Well, we know neat means being like tidy, clean, things like that. Neatness means it's the state of being neat. So therefore, our options, the state of being neat or in a neat way, we've already said, neatness is the state of being neat. Now let's think about the word boldly. What does boldly mean? Is it in a bold way or the state of being bold? Well, we already know that words that end in ly refers to the manner of, the way that we do something. So if we are doing something boldly, we are doing it in a bold way.